For thousands of years, humanity has feared creatures that may have never truly existed, yet their stories refuse to disappear. From ancient civilizations to the modern internet, terrifying beings have appeared in legends, myths, and eyewitness reports across the world. Some were said to control the forces of nature, others guarded the boundary between life and death, and a few were believed to warn humanity before disaster struck. Dragons carved into sacred stone thousands of years ago, a monstrous three-headed dog standing at the gates of the underworld, a ghostly scream echoing through misty Irish valleys, and even a winged creature seen just before a deadly bridge collapse. These stories come from different times and cultures, yet they all share one chilling truth. Humanity has always feared the unknown. Tonight, we will uncover some of the most terrifying mythical creatures ever recorded in history. Long before modern civilizations existed, humans were already telling stories about a terrifying creature that ruled the skies and the forces of nature, the dragon. The earliest images of dragons appeared more than 5,000 years ago, around 3000 BCE, making them one of the oldest mythical creatures ever recorded in human history. What makes dragons even more fascinating is that their image appeared independently in many different parts of the world. Ancient civilizations in East Asia, Mesopotamia, and later Europe all described giant serpent-like beings with immense power. In many cultures, dragons were connected to storms, rivers, mountains, and the balance of nature itself. But despite sharing the same name, dragons were not always the same creature. In some traditions, they were wise and powerful guardians. In others, they were terrifying monsters that symbolized chaos and destruction. This mysterious creature would become one of the most powerful symbols of fear, power, and myth across human history. One of the earliest known dragon images was discovered in northern China, linked to the ancient Hongshan culture, which existed between 4700 and 2900 BCE. Archaeologists uncovered unusual jade carvings known as pig dragons. These objects show a curved, serpent-like body with a rounded head and a tightly coiled shape that almost forms a circle. At first glance, the creature looks simple, but its meaning was likely very powerful. In ancient China, jade was considered a sacred material, often used in important rituals and burial objects. Because of this, the pig dragon was probably more than just decoration. It may have represented a spiritual guardian or a symbol of cosmic power. Many historians believe that even at this early stage, the dragon was connected to rain, the sky, and the natural cycle of life. For agricultural societies, rain meant survival, so a creature believed to control it would naturally be respected and feared. These ancient carvings show that the idea of the dragon began thousands of years ago, long before written history, making it one of the oldest mythical symbols ever created by humanity. While dragons in ancient China were often seen as powerful forces of nature, dragon-like creatures in the ancient Near East carried a much darker meaning. One of the earliest examples appears in the Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish, written between 1700 and 1100 BCE. In this ancient story, the world began in a state of chaos ruled by a terrifying primordial being named Tiamat. Tiamat was described as a colossal sea monster connected to the vast saltwater ocean. In many interpretations, she appeared as a massive dragon-like creature, representing the chaotic forces of nature before the universe was formed. According to the myth, Tiamat created an army of monstrous creatures and declared war on the younger gods. To stop her, the storm god Marduk stepped forward and challenged the giant monster in a cosmic battle. In the end, Marduk defeated Tiamat and split her enormous body in two. From one half he formed the heavens, and from the other he created the earth. This ancient myth reveals how early civilizations imagined the creation of the world as a struggle between order and chaos, with a dragon-like creature standing at the very center of that battle. Stories about dragons appear in many parts of the world, and historians have long wondered why so many different cultures imagined similar creatures. One possible explanation lies in human encounters with nature. Ancient people lived in environments where floods, storms, and earthquakes could destroy entire communities without warning. In places like the Tigris and Euphrates River valleys, seasonal flooding was both necessary for farming and dangerously unpredictable. To many early civilizations, these overwhelming natural forces may have felt like the work of powerful monsters. Another possible influence was the discovery of ancient bones and fossils. Long before modern science, people sometimes uncovered massive skeletons buried in the earth. Without knowledge of dinosaurs or prehistoric animals, these enormous bones may have inspired stories about gigantic serpent-like creatures. Encounters with large snakes, crocodiles, and other dangerous animals could have also reinforced the belief that powerful monsters existed. In this way, the dragon may not have been just a fantasy creature. Instead, it became a powerful symbol that helped ancient humans explain the terrifying and mysterious forces of the natural world. Imagine walking down a narrow stone passage that leads deep underground. The walls are rough and damp. Water drips slowly from the ceiling, and each step echoes through the darkness. The air grows colder as the tunnel continues deeper into the earth. Suddenly, the passage opens into a vast cavern. A silent black river flows slowly through the darkness, covered by a thin layer of mist. According to ancient Greek belief, this was the boundary between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. But no soul could pass freely between these two worlds. Standing guard at the entrance to the underworld was a terrifying creature known as Cerberus, a monstrous dog with multiple heads whose only purpose was to guard the gates of Hades. His task was simple but absolute. No one who entered the land of the dead could ever escape. The earliest written description of Cerberus appears in the works of the Greek poet Hesiod around the 8th century BCE. According to ancient Greek mythology, Cerberus was not an ordinary beast. He was the offspring of two terrifying monsters, Typhon and Echidna. This monstrous lineage made him the brother of several famous creatures of Greek legend, including the Chimera and the Sphinx. In most classical depictions, Cerberus is shown as a massive dog with three terrifying heads, a serpent-like tail, and sometimes even snakes growing from his body. The three heads eventually became the most recognizable form of the creature in Greek art and storytelling. Cerberus served Hades, the ruler of the underworld. His role was not to hunt the living, but to guard the boundary between life and death. He allowed souls of the dead to enter the underworld, but no one was allowed to leave. In Greek mythology, only one hero ever managed to overcome Cerberus, the legendary hero Heracles. As part of his famous 12 labors, Heracles was given what many believed was the most impossible task of all. He had to travel into the underworld and bring Cerberus back to the world of the living. There was one critical rule. He was not allowed to use any weapons. To accomplish this task, Heracles first had to receive permission from Hades, the ruler of the realm of the dead. Hades agreed, but only if the hero could subdue the monster using nothing but his strength. Descending into the dark realm of the underworld, Heracles confronted the terrifying guardian. Using his immense power, he wrestled the massive three-headed beast into submission. For a brief moment, the creature that had guarded the boundary of death for centuries was led into the world of the living. But once the task was complete, Heracles returned Cerberus safely back to the underworld, restoring the balance between the living and the dead. Late at night, across the misty valleys of Ireland, a strange and chilling cry sometimes echoes through the darkness. It is not quite human, yet it does not sound like any animal either. The sound is long, piercing, and filled with sorrow. According to ancient Irish tradition, hearing this cry meant something terrifying. Someone in the household would soon die. This mysterious figure is known as the Banshee, one of the most haunting beings in Celtic folklore. The name comes from the Irish phrase Bean Sidhe, which means woman of the fairy mound, or woman of the otherworld. In Celtic belief, ancient burial mounds scattered across the Irish landscape were thought to be entrances to the spirit world. The Banshee was believed to live near these places, appearing only when death was approaching. Interestingly, the Banshee was not considered a killer. She did not cause death herself. Instead, she served as a messenger of fate, warning families that someone close to them would soon pass away. On November 15, 1966, two young couples were driving near Point Pleasant when they reported seeing something terrifying near an abandoned explosives plant. According to their story, a tall, dark figure suddenly appeared in front of them. The creature had massive wings and glowing red eyes, and it stood nearly 6 to 7 feet tall. Frightened, the couples quickly drove away, but they claimed the creature rose into the air and began chasing their car. Local newspapers soon reported the sighting, and over the following weeks, more than 100 people claimed to have seen the same mysterious figure. The creature became known as Mothman. Many sightings occurred around the TNT area, a former World War II munitions site filled with abandoned bunkers and dense forest. The eerie environment only added to the growing fear and mystery. Then, on December 15, 1967, tragedy struck when the Silver Bridge collapsed over the Ohio River, killing 46 people. After the disaster, many residents began to believe the Mothman sightings had been a warning of the coming catastrophe. Even today, the legend continues to attract curiosity and debate. In the modern era, new mythical creatures are no longer born only from ancient legends. Some are created on the internet and spread across the world within days. One of the most famous examples is Siren Head. The creature first appeared in 2018, when Canadian artist Trevor Henderson posted a strange image online. The picture showed a tall, thin figure standing far in the distance. At first glance it looked human, but something was terribly wrong. Instead of a head, the creature had two large sirens, similar to old outdoor emergency loudspeakers. Siren Head is often described as an extremely tall humanoid figure, sometimes over 30 feet tall, with long skeletal limbs and rusted metal sirens attached to its neck. In many stories, those sirens produce disturbing sounds, emergency alerts, distorted voices, or mechanical wailing noises. Interestingly, Trevor Henderson never created a full official story for the creature. Instead, people on the internet began inventing their own encounters and legends. Within just a few years, Siren Head spread across horror games, short films, animations, and viral videos, becoming one of the most recognizable internet-born monsters of the 21st century. Unlike ancient monsters tied to curses or gods, Siren Head represents a more modern fear: technology, emergency signals, and the eerie sounds that often warn us when disaster is near.